to Scotland with SNP spokesperson Tommy Sheppard. Tommy Sheppard.
What a sad and inglorious end for the Brexit adventure. Days before the end of transition, we are limping to the finishing line with no idea whether there will be a deal, and if there is, what will be in it. Now, I understand the government's intention to recall Parliament if there is a deal to discuss, but what if the government fails to get a deal? Are we not to consider the consequences of a hard break in trading with the EU? Has the government no plans to present to Parliament to mitigate this disaster? And what if there is a deal? When will we see an economic assessment of its provisions? When will the devolved administrations be consulted on the many areas within their purview? And how on earth are members seriously expected to digest and analyse 1,600 pages of text? Isn't the truth, Mr. Speaker, that the government is preparing to railroad through a grubby little deal using its majority to avoid scrutiny? And Mr. Speaker, this is the season of goodwill, and I wish you, the leader, and all members a happy Christmas. But it is also a time to reflect on the big changes of 2020. This is a year in which support for this government evaporated in England. And in Scotland, this is the year in which the long-standing majority of people who have been opposed to the Tories for 70 years have coalesced around the prospect of independence. You know, I like to keep the House updated on Scottish public opinion. In recent weeks, there have been further opinion polls which report a majority for independence. The latest today in the Scotsman newspaper, which puts yes at 58%. This is the 17th poll in a row recording a majority for Scotland to take control of its own affairs. So I repeat the question I have been asking all year. When will this Parliament have the opportunity to consider changing opinion in Scotland? And if people vote in the coming Scottish general election to review the way in which Scotland is governed, will this government respect that vote? Perhaps, since it's Christmas, the leader might actually give me an answer this time.
Of the House.
Mr. Speaker, what a pleasure it is to see that the joy of Christmas has spread to Edinburgh and the joyful, happy countenance shine down upon us once more and wishes us all a Merry Christmas, which I heartily reciprocate. And I hope the honourable gentleman heard me say earlier what a pleasure it was, which I mean genuinely, dealing with him over the course of the year. The honourable gentleman mentions the deal that is being done or is not being done and the need for it to be ratified. He criticises the government for using its majority potentially to pass any consequent act of Parliament. I would point out that's how democracy works. You get a majority and then you use that majority. It's not particularly shocking. It's what's done in parliaments across the world. And as my right honourable friend the Prime Minister pointed out, it's going to be a great opportunity for Scotland. He pointed out that Mrs Sturgeon is going to have more fish than she could eat in a lifetime because we will have control of our fishing waters. Indeed, I think they're going to need to get a bigger boat in Scotland to collect all this fish that is essential. And the strength of the United Kingdom grows every day. Have we not just heard that Aberdeen Council wants to separate from Edinburgh? It wants to avoid the machinations of the SNP, the failures of the SNP, the failures in education, the failures in policing, the failures in the health service in Scotland, led by the SNP. So what is Aberdeen saying? Saying let's cut out this failed administration run by the SNP, and why don't we go directly to London to have our settlement done with London? Isn't that fascinating that the failures of the left-wing SNP are making councils in Scotland try and escape from the auspices, from the authority of the SNP, and the strength of the United Kingdom has provided £8.2 billion to keep the Scottish economy going. Together as one country, one group of taxpayers have helped every part of the country with a depth, a strength, a thoroughness that would not be possible if they were separated. And when they had a vote, a real vote, not a sort of gossip with an opinion pollster, but they went to a polling station and put a cross in a box. How did they vote? They voted to remain part of the United Kingdom. Of that we should be proud and delighted, and we should celebrate, and we should have an extra glass at Christmas to celebrate the one United Kingdom.